At a wedding, the groom suddenly grabbed a plate of food and threw it on the floor. The sauce splattered loudly on the carpet.
Oops, my bad. Slipped my hand. Ha ha.
He said, looking down at me with a laughter, and announced to everyone,
My friend sitting here with us is a janitor. He's used to handling dirty stuff, so let's leave the cleanup to him. Please, janitor.
When I refused, the bride stood in front of me and said,
My husband called you society's trash. Ha ha. Don't you dare defy the elite trash.
Then, my wife appeared behind the bride and tapped her shoulder. With a big smile, she said,
I'll ask my dad to take away the groom's desk at his workplace.
Soon after, the bride and groom were hit with this shocking reality and collapsed to their knees. My name is Kyle Johnson, 26 years old. I lost my parents in an accident during my sophomore year of college. Overwhelmed by grief, I dropped out and was in despair. But with someone's help, I managed to recover and now work as a janitor. At 25, I married Kimberly, a banker of the same age and a graduate of a top university. She was in corporate sales at the branch, known for her agility and meticulous work, quickly improving sales performance, and was even rumored to be on the track for a female executive position.
I dream of working at the heart of America's economy.
She'd say, her eyes sparkling as she talked about her future. I always worried if someone with my education and job could make her happy. But Kimberly just laughed it off, saying such things never matters. I still remember vividly the day she tearfully accepted my proposal, as if it was yesterday. Even she had her weaknesses.
How is it?
Kimberly asked, sitting in front of me at the dinner table, intently watching me eat. The cream pasta she made, after coming home early from work and following a recipe video, wasn't great, to be honest. The pasta was overcooked, the sauce bland, and the broccoli too hard. But I was really happy with the effort she put into it, regardless of the taste. Yay, it's delicious. Trying to eat heartily without her noticing. However, Kimberly's face fell in disappointment.
Kyle, your nose swells when you lie.
She pointed out. I quickly covered my nose with my hand.
Why? I followed the recipe exactly.
Seeing her so downcast, I couldn't help but laugh.
That's mean, laughing like that.
Kimberly pouted, puffing her cheeks at me. Sorry. I just thought it was cute. Even though you're good at your job and handle everything so effortlessly, cooking is your weak spot, ho. I said. She then crossed her arms and said thoughtfully,
You know, my parents are divorced, you know. I was raised by my busy mom who didn't cook very much. We mostly had deliveries or ate out, so I guess I never got interested in cooking. In other words, it's my dad's fault I can't cook.
Looking at my wife puffing her cheeks like that, I asked her something I'd always wondered. Do you see your father, Bob, often?
Just once when I started working at the bank. We talk on the phone a few times a year.
It's better to meet when you can. You never know when you won't be able to see someone again. I said, thinking of my late parents.
Kyle.
Kimberly placed her hand over mine on the table and said, I'll think about it. That day, I was at an office building for exterior cleaning, working with Martin, a 45-year-old senior janitor. It had been a while since I worked with him. Martin is a veteran janitor with a master-level building cleaning certification. The boss trusted him the most. The day's task was high-altitude work using ropes hung from the rooftop, known as swing stage work since it's like sitting on a swing. I wasn't particularly afraid of heights, but the risk of accidents from a single mistake had me tense.
Kyle, don't slack on checking your gear. The boss specifically asked me to make sure there are no accidents involving you. We can't let Kimberly become a young widow.
Got it. I took Martin's words to heart and carefully proceeded with each task. After 5 hours, all the work was successfully completed. I was cleaning up the pylons and ropes from the restricted area when suddenly someone called my name.
Johnson?
Startled, I turned to see Brandon Miller, a classmate from the same seminar in college. Miller, I exclaimed, removing my helmet in surprise. Miller looked me up and down, then sneered.
Seriously? You dropped out and became a janitor? That's wild. Ha ha.
Miller had always been like this, judging people by appearance, job, and income, associating only if it benefited him. Not surprising, but still annoying. What about you? What are you doing now? I asked, bundling the ropes with a sense of resignation.
Me? Oh, nothing much. Just a humble bank employee.
He said, making a point to show me his suit's collar and the bank's emblem. It was a familiar badge. That badge, it's from Kimberly's bank. Miller and Kimberly work at the same bank. I couldn't hide my shock, but Miller just smirked, enjoying the moment. Tough job, huh? I've got to go, I said, and was eager to leave before causing any trouble for Kimberly at work. Then Miller added,
Oh, by the way, I'm getting married next month. Lots of old college friends will be there. You should definitely come to the reception. Everyone will be thrilled.
Hearing that, I spat in disgust in my mind. Why on earth I would bother attending a wedding like yours? But I maintained composure, especially since he was Kimberly's colleague. It seemed best to keep things neutral for now, considering the current unclear nature of Brandon and Kimberly's relationship. Congratulations. I'd love to celebrate, but unfortunately. On second look, Miller's grin widened seeing my face. He must be thinking I was too ashamed of my background to attend an elite wedding and want to make me go out of my way to make excuses for my absence. Probably planning to make me the butt of jokes. Fine, if that's how it is, I'll show up with pride. I have nothing to be ashamed of in my life. I had lost my coolness by then, and declared with a smile, I'd be happy to attend. Surprised, Miller looked at me with eyes shining, like a hyena spotting prey. His mouth twisted into a wry grin, guess coming up with some humiliation for me at the reception in front of his elite group.
Great, I'll send an invite,
he said, leaving. I watched him go, already regretting my impulsive acceptance. Later, I received the invitation from Miller.
No way. Kyle, you know Brondon she Miller.
At night, when Kimberly got home, she saw an invitation addressed to me among the mail on the table. She spoke to me as I was preparing dinner in the kitchen. He was in the same seminar at college. He says he works at the same bank as you. Did you know that?
Know it? He's my peer. He transferred to our branch at the same time as me. We're working together in corporate sales. Look,
Kimberly said, pulling out a similar invitation from her bag and showing it to me. Are we both going to the same wedding reception? I regretted my decision to attend even more after learning that Miller and Kimberly were working in the same corporate sales department at the same branch.
it's a small world. I can't believe Miller is your friend. From now on, no matter how irritating he is, I'll try to build a better relationship.
Kimberly said reflectively while eating dinner. What do you mean by that? I asked, curious.
Well, actually,
Kimberly began to tell me about her experiences with Miller. He worked in the same corporate sales department, but was arrogant, looking down on colleagues because of his family background and education. This attitude disrupted team dynamics and worsened the workplace atmosphere, negatively impacting others' work. Although Kimberly, with her top university degree and high sales performance, wasn't looked down upon, Miller seemed envious, blatantly accusing her of using her femininity to her advantage. Moreover, he had been making rough loans to clients to meet quotas, and when Kimberly gently warned him, he yelled, "Don't you dare talk back to me."
I hate to say it, but he's a terrible person. I had decided to stay away from him.
He's not my friend. I interrupted, slamming my chopsticks down in anger. I couldn't hide my anger at Kimberly's story.
Huh? Aren't you good friends, being invited to his wedding?
It's okay. He's been rotten since in college. You don't have to deal with him anymore. Sorry for causing you distress. I spat out bitterly.
Why are you apologizing? Haha.
Kimberly laughed, looking at me curiously. She seemed a bit surprised, as I usually don't show negative emotions in front of her. Right. I forced a smile, but my agitation was evident. I couldn't stand Miller's casual remarks about Kimberly, which disrespected her just because she was a woman, knowing how hard she worked every day and returning home exhausted. Kimberly wasn't someone who would use her femininity to get ahead. I knew her sincerity and straightforward nature better than anyone. I met Kimberly 3 years ago. While cleaning the floors of a large building housing several major corporations, in addition to daily cleaning, we had a contract for monthly thorough cleanings. That day was for cleaning the floors of the lobby and corridors, which required partially taping off areas to keep them walkable while using specialized equipment. The work went smoothly, and the dirty floors were quickly shining again. I love this moment of looking back at my work. Just a bit more to go. Let's keep it up. I muttered, psyching myself up. Then, a young male office worker returned from outside and passed by me. As he did, he tossed a trash bag onto the floor cleaned with detergent, saying, "Take care of this too." I picked up the bag to look inside. The trash bag he left behind was filled with leftovers from a convenience store lunch or coffee cans, probably eaten at some park during his outside work. "Hey, wait." I called after him, but he walked away without turning back. It got me mad, but held back, bearing not to cause trouble that could risk our cleaning contract. Just then, a woman snatched the trash bag from my hand and dashed off after the young man, yelling,
Wait, please.
As she chased him down, I watched in amazement as the woman confronted the man.
You should clean up your own trash. Even a kindergartner knows that.
She scolded, handing the garbage bag back to the man waiting for the elevator. Reluctantly, he accepted it and got on the elevator. The woman then ran back to me, smiling, and said,
I used to be in track and field.
I was instantly captivated by her carefree smile. It was love at first sight. We awkwardly exchanged contact information, something I had never done before in my life. This was how I met Kimberly. She's full of justice and has a straightforward way of looking at things. My wife is not someone to be belittled by a jerk like Miller. I was only worried that she would be further troubled by him. Should I cancel the wedding invitation now? No, it might be too late and cause trouble. Miller doesn't know we're married, so it might be better to act like strangers at the reception. We got married when you were at your previous branch, so no one from work should know me. I told Kimberly I didn't want to add to her troubles with my issues.
Why? Why should we hide it?
Kimberly looked puzzled, understandably unaware of the situation. To avoid some trouble, okay. Seeing my serious face, she reluctantly agreed. On the wedding day, the reception was held at a top-notch hotel in downtown with 500 guests, a grand affair. Miller's bride was a 23-year-old woman named Marilyn, the daughter of a man of wealth who owns a chain of restaurants. The IPs, probably business associates of the bride's father, were spotted around. I was seated at the friend's table on the groom's side, while Kimberly, pretending to be a stranger as promised, sat at a bank associate's table a little away. As soon as I took my seat, I felt the cold stares of Miller's acquaintances. They started ostentatiously updating each other on their recent achievements. Major securities firms, leading construction companies, top trading companies. The names of big corporations flew around. Then, a man named Smith sitting next to me struck up a conversation.
Long time no see, Johnson. It's been what, 6 years since you left college? What are you doing now?
Smith was the only decent guy here, who, I heard, started his own IT company in college and now is a CEO. Smith, it's been a while. I'm working in cleaning and maintenance.
Smith, give it a rest.
One of the others interrupted before I could finish.
Don't you feel sorry for him? A college dropout, a janitor, sneaking among the elite. Let him be.
The others joined in, sneering and whispering loudly enough for me to hear. Bold of you to come. A disgrace to our college. Smith looked at me, confused, but I gestured to him that I was fine. As the bride and groom entered and the reception started, the attacks on me didn't stop. I was prepared as they are Miller's acquaintance, but I couldn't understand why they belittled my job so much. Smith's whisper, "Don't mind them," and his smile were my only solace. The moment came during the candle service when the newlyweds approached our table.
Johnson, thanks for coming today. Glad you could make it.
Miller said, looking down at me with a smirk. "Congratulations," I said, nodding to the bride as well. The bride, Marilyn, appeared young and pretty at first glance, but there was a sense that her looks were enhanced with makeup. More notably, Her way of speaking seemed rather unintelligent.
My arm is so tired. Brandon, do it by yourself.
She whined childishly, puffing her cheeks. Her blush was overly bright, reminiscent of a doll.
Marilyn, it's almost over. Let's hang in there, okay?
Miller soothed her with a cajoling tone. The others at the table exchanged looks and chuckled. I tried to suppress my laughter as I watched. Suddenly, Miller, with a devilish, pale face, accused me, "Johnson, you just laughed, didn't you?" "No, not at all." Wondering if my inner laughter had inadvertently shown. Then Miller grabbed the plate of half-eaten food in front of me and flung it to the floor.
Oh no.
Marilyn screamed. The sauce splattered dramatically on the expensive carpet.
Oops, my bad. Slipped my hand. Ha ha.
Miller laughed, looking down at me. People at nearby tables turned their attention to us. A female staff member rushed over to clean up, but Miller stopped her.
No need to worry. My friend here is a janitor, accustomed to cleaning buildings and such. He's used to handling dirty stuff, so let's leave it to him. Please, janitor.
But asking a guest too.
The staff hesitated. Marilyn interrupted, "Just do what Brandon says," and dismissed her. I was beyond anger, just dumbfounded. Marilyn, sneering just like Miller, looked at me. "A match made in heaven. You two deserve each other," I muttered with a laugh.
What?
Miller turned to me, his face changing color. Ignoring him, I stood up and instructed the staff. "For now, as a temporary measure, use a lukewarm, damp cloth with some neutral detergent. Dab it on the stain to transfer the dirt to the cloth. It's best to get it professionally cleaned as soon as possible." Then, glaring at Miller, I said, "I'm a professional cleaner. If you want me to clean, come to my company and make a formal request." I threw my napkin on the chair and was about to leave when Marilyn blocked my way.
My husband said your society's trash. Haha. Trash shouldn't defy the elite.
I looked at her, thinking how different she was from Kimberly. When I noticed Kimberly behind the bride, Kimberly. Surprised, I saw Kimberly tap Marilyn's shoulder and say with a broad smile,
I'll have my dad remove Brandon's work desk.
Marilyn shook off her hand.
What are you talking about? That's impossible. And who are you?
Thompson, what's wrong with you, drunk? Sleep talk should be saved for bed. Mind your own business.
Miller said, trying to push Kimberly away. I quickly brushed off his hand, standing protectively in front of Kimberly. Thompson was Kimberly's maiden name, which she still uses at work. As for her real father, suddenly, the bank branch manager appeared, laughing, and the atmosphere instantly tensed up.
Your strong sense of justice must come from Bob, Kimberly.
Manager, I'm sorry you had to see that embarrassing scene.
Kimberly replied, looking mortified. The branch manager, seeing her discomfort, added,
I know you're busy, but try to call Bob sometimes. When I saw him at the main office recently, he seemed lonely.
Yes.
Kimberly responded, looking down shyly.
Manager, today, we're honored by your presence.
Miller hurriedly tried to interject, pushing me aside, but the manager ignored him and spoke to me.
Kyle, it's been a while. How is President Susan doing?
Eh,
Miller gaped at me, stunned. Sorry for the late greetings, manager. My aunt is as lively as ever, working hard every day. The manager nodded and smiled, saying,
I heard she's launching a new welfare-related venture, with you as her successor. She must be excited about her work.
Miller and Marilyn looked at us, utterly confused.
manager isn't her father.
This guy, he's not just a janitor, right?
The manager replied, looking exasperated.
You didn't know her father is Bob, the head of the Human Resources Department. And this Kyle Johnson here is the nephew of the president of Johnson Corporation, which owns several cleaning-related subsidiaries. And he's the next president. He's also Kimberly's husband.
Eh, the head of HR, the next president, her husband.
Miller panicked, stepping back with a pale face. Marilyn was also flustered.
But he was wearing work clothes, doing building cleaning.
Miller exclaimed. The manager, looking impressed, turned to me and said,
It's the president's policy that all employees involved in management, especially executives, must undergo several years of training on site. Knowing the hardships of the field is crucial for company management. Truly a remarkable company.
Turning to Miller, he continued,
Johnson Corporation is a major client of our branch. If this incident leads to a cancellation of our transactions, you'll definitely be sent out. And with the HR head's impression of you now soured, there's no saving you. Well, try your best with your lovely bride wherever you go.
The manager chuckled. I have another appointment, so I'll be leaving now, and left.
Manager, such a thing.
Miller and Marilyn hesitantly turned to us.
Thompson, Johnson,
Miller tried to speak, his face contorted with a fake smile. Sorry, Miller, but we'll be leaving now. As the next president, I need to discuss changing the main bank with my aunt, I said. Kimberly added,
And I need to call my father right away.
Miller clung to us desperately.
please, Thompson, Johnson, we're friends, right?
Friends, huh? Don't make me laugh. I brushed off his hand. You're finished. Miller collapsed to his knees, his head bowed. Kimberly and I left the scene together. Behind us, as we opened the doors to leave, Marilyn's screams echoed.
What? You're getting fired from the bank. This is a joke. Call off this wedding. I don't want to marry a man like this. Daddy, do something.
The venue erupted in chaos.
What? Stupid woman. I'm better off without you.
What did you say?
We heard them arguing and looked at each other, laughing. Leaving the hotel, we took a taxi and got off near our house at a convenience store, where we bought some takeout and beer instead of the missed full-course French dinner. We walked side by side leisurely towards our home, bathed in the sunset. It felt like a long overdue date, and it was enjoyable. Was it okay? Now everyone at the bank knows about Bob. I asked Kimberly as we paused in the middle of a small bridge over a river.
I have grown up watching my mom struggle after the divorce, so I couldn't forgive my father who was too absorbed in his work and neglected his family. That's why I worked desperately hard, choosing a general position often said to be too challenging for a woman. I vowed not to lose to men, to my father.
Kimberly said, her gaze distant. She continued,
but working at the same bank, I've come to understand the hardships my father faced. I think he had a tough time too. So now I hope to build a better relationship with him.
Leaning on the railing, she gazed at the river shimmering in the sunset, then turned to me.
I can think this way because of you. You've always been there for me, gently supporting me. Thank you, Kyle.
Her smile, tinged with the colors of the sunset, made me feel a bit shy. Let's have dinner with Bob sometime, I suggested. Kimberly nodded happily in response. Later, according to Kimberly, Brandon Miller's wedding reception turned into a disaster. It ended up in a huge fight involving not only the bride and groom, but also their parents and relatives who were initially against the marriage. The reception was, of course, called off, and the couple separated, leading to a broken engagement. As for Miller, he was transferred to a subsidiary of the bank, effectively removed from the fast track to success. Since that incident, he reportedly became much quieter, though I wondered if people could change that quickly. He'll surely show his true colors soon enough. A few years later, Kimberly was transferred to the main branch, working in the Human Resources Career Group, supporting and conducting training programs for female employees. She was actively involved in creating a work environment where women could balance child rearing and their careers, gaining media attention as a potential female executive. As for me, I completed my on-site training and was receiving full-fledged successor training under the company president.
You're starting to look good in a suit. I wish my brother and sister-in-law could see you.
Dressed in an unfamiliar suit during our rounds to clients, the president said tearfully, I spent my days accompanying her. At the end of a day, I found myself on that familiar bridge, watching the sunset. I felt particularly grateful for finding a fulfilling job. I wished I could tell my past self, who had lost his parents and dropped out of college in despair, your future is incredibly happy.
Kyle?
Startled, I turned around to see Kimberly approaching with a smile, waving her hand. Welcome back. You're home early today. She approached me, slightly embarrassed, and said,
I left work early today. Went to the hospital.
What? Are you okay? I asked, concerned. Kimberly didn't answer directly but smiled, tears in her eyes, and pulled out an ultrasound image from her bag, hiding half of her face with it.
I'm 3 months pregnant.
Overwhelmed with joy, I hugged her tightly.
We're going to be parents,
Kimberly said tearfully. Oh, how I wished I could tell my younger self. I am incredibly happy right now.